Dr. Amanda Sullivan's fingers trembled as she brushed away centuries of sand from the crystalline surface beneath. The late afternoon sun filtered through the dig site's protective canopy, casting prismatic patterns across the faces of her transfixed team members. This was their third week in the Gobi Desert, and what had started as a routine archaeological survey had just become the discovery of the millennium. Dr. Sullivan, James Martinez called from the scanning station, his voice cracking with excitement. These readings, they're impossible. The energy signature is unlike anything we've ever encountered. And it's active. Active. The word sent shivers down Amanda's spine. They weren't just dealing with ancient artifacts. They were looking at functioning technology buried beneath the Earth's surface for an unimaginable span of time. "Send the data to my tablet," she ordered, fighting to keep her voice steady. The holographic display sprang to life above her wrist device, streaming numbers that defied everything she knew about archaeological preservation. No known material could maintain structural integrity for this long, let alone remain operational. The excavation site had expanded from a simple 3-meter square to a massive 30-meter diameter circle over the past week. What they'd initially thought was a single anomaly had revealed itself to be part of a vast complex of interconnected crystalline structures, each pulsing with a faint bluish luminescence. Dr. Sullivan. This time, it was Dr. Rebecca Chen, their quantum physicist, practically running across the dig site with her own tablet clutched to her chest. "The carbon dating results are back. We ran them 7 times to be sure." She thrust the tablet forward, her hands shaking. 300 million years. The margin of error is negligible. Amanda stared at the numbers, her mind refusing to process their implications. 300 million years ago, the earliest ancestors of dinosaurs were just beginning to walk the earth. The idea of an advanced civilization existing at that time wasn't just revolutionary, it was impossible by every accepted theory of evolution. The discovery was about to become even more impossible. The familiar hum of an approaching shuttle broke through her thoughts. Amanda looked up to see the sleek silver craft of the Galactic Council's Science Division descending toward their camp's landing pad. They'd notified the Council as required by the First Contact Treaties of 2157, but she hadn't expected such a rapid response. "Everyone, maintain your positions and continue documentation," she commanded, straightening her jacket. "Martinez, encrypt and back up all our data to the secure servers. Chen, you're with me." As they walked toward the landing pad, Chen whispered, "They're going to try to take control of the site, aren't they?" "They can try," Amanda responded, her jaw set. "But this is human territory, and we followed every protocol to the letter. They can observe, but they can't interfere." The shuttle's doors opened with a soft hiss, revealing 3 council representatives. The first was a Mersai, their translucent skin glowing with neural patterns that betrayed their excitement. The second, an Arxian, their crystalline form refracting the desert sunlight. The third was a Vextar, towering over the others with iridescent scales shifting between deep purple and green. "Dr. Sullivan." The Mersai spoke, their harmonics translating perfectly to English. "I am Observer Keli. News of your discovery has caused quite a stir in the council chambers." "We've only just begun our analysis," Amanda replied diplomatically. "Though I'm sure you'll find our preliminary data quite interesting." "Indeed," the Vextar rumbled, their scales flickering with barely contained emotion. "Particularly how you managed to falsify carbon dating results so convincingly." Amanda felt her face flush with anger, but before she could respond, a deep tremor shook the ground. All heads turned toward the dig site, where the crystalline structures had begun to pulse with increased intensity. "That," the Arxian spoke for the first time, their voice like chimes in the wind, "was no falsification." The tremors increased, and Amanda's tablet exploded with readings. The ancient technology wasn't just active, it was awakening. And as she would soon learn, it was about to rewrite the history of not just humanity, but of all galactic civilization. The holographic display filled the makeshift command center, casting ethereal light across the faces of both human and alien observers. Dr. Amanda Sullivan watched as similar artifacts from across the galaxy rotated in the air before her, each one bearing the same distinctive crystalline pattern as their discovery. 117 worlds, Observer Keelai explained, their translucent skin pulsing with patterns of thought. Each site containing technology that, until today, we believe were the oldest traces of civilization in the galaxy. The Vextar representative, Commander Zextol, moved through the display with barely contained agitation, their scales shifting between deep crimson and obsidian. The youngest of these sites dates back 40 million years. The oldest, on Proxima Centauri's fourth planet, was dated to 150 million years. And yet, the Arctian scholar, who had introduced themselves as resonants, chimed in, "None approach the age of your discovery. 300 million years is." They paused, their crystalline form refracting light in contemplation, unprecedented. Amanda studied the projections, her mind racing. These patterns, they're identical to ours. Not similar, not related, but exact matches down to the quantum level. She turned to face the council representatives. "You've known about this connection all along, haven't you?" The silence that followed was deafening. "We had theories," Keelai admitted, neural patterns flickering with discomfort. The mathematical constants, the technological signatures, they suggested a common origin. But we assumed that origin was lost to time, or deliberately hidden, Zextol interjected, looming over the display, perhaps for good reason. The implications hung heavy in the air. Humanity, dismissed as cosmic newcomers for decades, might not only be connected to these ancient artifacts, but could be their source. The thought was as terrifying as it was revolutionary. A sudden alert pierced the tension. Dr. Chen burst into the command center, her usual composure shattered by excitement. The primary crystal matrix, it's responding to human DNA. But not just human. She looked meaningfully at their alien visitors. Amanda's tablet confirmed the readings. The ancient technology was reacting to both human genetic markers and their modified variations found in several council species. It was like watching evolutionary branches reconnect with their root. "Impossible," Zextol snarled, but their scales had shifted to a pale blue of uncertainty. "Resonance." Amanda turned to the Arctian scholar. "Your people's oldest texts, the ones about the Lightbringers. Can you share them?" The crystalline being seemed to pulse with inner light. The ancient songs speak of beings who came from the cradle of stars, seeding life across the galaxy. They were said to possess technology that could reshape worlds, but they vanished, leaving only echoes and artifacts behind. "Not vanished," Amanda breathed, pulling up new data on the main display. "Look at these genetic markers. The variations aren't random. They're purposeful adaptations of a base template, human DNA." The command center erupted with activity as both human scientists and alien observers began cross-referencing data. The evidence was becoming undeniable, but the implications were staggering. "If what you're suggesting is true," Keelai's voice wavered, their skin practically transparent with shock, then humanity's ancestors were the Lightbringers. They seeded the galaxy with modified versions of themselves. "No." Zextol's massive form cast a shadow over the displays. "We will not accept this. The Vextar Imperium was not created by primitives who barely touched their own moon 60 years ago." The crystal matrix chose that moment to pulse again, stronger this time. The holographic displays flickered, and new data streams appeared, data that no one had accessed. "It's not about accepting," Amanda stated firmly, her eyes fixed on the emerging information. "It's about understanding. Why did they do this? What were they preparing for?" The answer would come sooner than any of them expected, and it would shake the foundations of every civilization in the galaxy. As the ancient systems continued to awaken, Amanda couldn't help but wonder if humanity was ready for the truth about their legacy, and the responsibility that came with it. Dr. Amanda Sullivan hadn't slept in 36 hours, but the crystalline code dancing across her screens kept her more alert than any caffeine could manage. The ancient facility's hidden message was beginning to take shape, pixel by pixel, secret by secret. The lattice structure isn't decorative at all, Dr. Martinez observed, his own fatigue forgotten in the excitement of discovery. It's a quantum storage system, but the complexity, it's like comparing cave paintings to virtual reality. The Orcsian scholar, Resonance, hovered nearby, their crystalline form vibrating in harmony with the ancient technology. The mathematical principles aligned perfectly with the fragments found in our oldest temples. We thought they were religious symbols, but they were instructions all along. Amanda's fingers flew across the holographic interface, applying the decryption patterns they'd discovered. The crystals pulsed in response, each flash bringing them closer to the truth. Look at this section. She pointed to a cascading sequence of symbols. It's not just data storage, it's genetic code. But the complexity suggests it's not just recording information, it's teaching. The revelation hit her like a physical force. It's a message, not just to us, but to all of them. She gestured toward their alien colleagues, a message from their creators, from our ancestors. The first coherent images began forming in the central holographic display. They showed Earth, but not as anyone had ever seen it. Vast cities of crystal and light sprawled across continents. Ships that dwarfed modern space stations sailed between the stars. A civilization at its peak, wielding power that made humanity's greatest achievements seem like a child's first steps. This can't be correct, Commander Zextol growled from the doorway, their scales shifting in agitation. Our historians have mapped galactic civilization back 50 million years. There's no evidence of. Because they didn't want to be found. Observer Keelai interrupted, their neural patterns pulsing with growing understanding. Not until the right time. Not until we were ready. The message continued to unfold. It showed the ancient humans' discovery of something approaching from intergalactic space, something that made even these gods among mortals afraid. Their response was as brilliant as it was desperate. They knew they couldn't survive as they were. Amanda breathed, watching the story play out. So they decided to survive as something else. As everything else. The data showed the process in intimate detail. The ancient humans had taken their own genetic code and modified it, creating variants that could thrive in every conceivable environment. Each variation was carefully crafted, designed to develop unique strengths and characteristics. The Mersai's empathic abilities. Keelai whispered, the Orcsians' crystalline thought patterns, even the Vextar's adaptive biology. They were all intentional gifts. Zextol's massive frame trembled. You expect us to believe that our greatest strengths, our very identity, were engineered by another species. Not engineered, Resonance corrected, their tone musical with revelation. Gifted. Each species was designed to explore different paths of development, to solve different problems in different ways. The final sequences of the message began to play. They showed the ancient humans retreating to hidden chambers deep beneath Earth's surface, entering suspended animation while their children, all their children, grew and developed across the galaxy. They made themselves dormant, Amanda explained, her voice thick with emotion, waiting for the day their descendants would be ready to understand their legacy, both the human descendants who remained on Earth and those who were sent to the stars. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just connected to the galactic community. They were its architects, its parents, its guardians. The discovery would shake every civilization to its core. We need to release this information carefully, Keelai suggested, their skin nearly transparent with concern. The political implications alone could destabilize. A sudden alarm cut through the chamber. On every screen, warning signals flashed red. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Martins reported, his voice tense. Vextar warships. They're not responding to hails. Amanda's gaze locked with Zextol's. The commander's scales had turned the deep purple of resolve. "Some truths," they rumbled, "are too dangerous to be known." Alarms blared throughout the facility as the Vextar warships descended through Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Amanda Sullivan's fingers danced across the crystal controls, racing against time as the ancient facility revealed its darkest secrets. Security protocols engaging. Martinez called out, watching as crystalline barriers materialized around the complex. The ancients left us more than just messages. They left defenses. The chamber hummed with energy as new holographic displays burst to life, showing the full truth of humanity's past. The images were devastating in their clarity. A massive object approaching from beyond the galaxy's edge, its nature incomprehensible even to their godlike ancestors. "That's why they did it," Observer Keelai whispered, their skin rippling with patterns of understanding. "Why they scattered their children across the stars." The records showed the ancient humans' desperate race against time. Their scientists had calculated that their civilization, advanced as it was, couldn't survive the approaching catastrophe. But they refused to let it be the end. "Look at these genetic sequences." Dr. Chen pointed to streams of data flowing across her screen. They didn't just modify their DNA randomly. Each adaptation was precisely calculated. The Mersey were engineered to survive in liquid ammonia environments, the Arctians to exist in crystalline forms that could withstand extreme radiation. And the Vextar, Resonance chimed in, their form glowing with revelation, were designed to adapt rapidly to any environment, to be the ultimate survivors. Above them, the sounds of battle echoed as Earth's defense forces engaged the Vextar ships. The facility's barriers held strong, protected by technology millions of years ahead of anything in the modern galaxy. Amanda's attention was caught by a new data stream. "The suspension chambers," she breathed. There were thousands of them, scattered throughout Earth's crust. The ancients didn't just seed the galaxy, they tried to preserve themselves. The holograms showed vast underground complexes filled with stasis pods, each containing volunteers who would sleep through the coming catastrophe. They would be the backup plan, the living memory of their civilization, preserved in case their children among the stars lost their way. But the pods failed, Martinez noted grimly, reading through the facility's logs. 300 million years was too long. Power systems degraded. Geological shifts destroyed whole complexes. Out of thousands of sleepers, only a handful survived, Amanda finished. Their DNA damaged and degraded by time and radiation. Those survivors became what we think of as Earth's first primitive humans. We didn't evolve from nothing. We devolved from everything. The chamber shook as something heavy impacted the barriers above. Commander Zextol's voice boomed through the facility's communication systems. "This heresy ends now. Surrender the facility and all research data." But the facility had other plans. The central crystal matrix pulsed with increasing intensity, responding to the combined presence of original and modified human DNA. New chambers were opening, revealing technologies that had slumbered for eons. They knew this day would come, Resonance observed, their crystalline form resonating with the ancient systems. They left us a choice, all of us, together. Through the facility's sensors, they watched as more ships appeared in orbit, but not Vextar vessels. The Arctian science fleet had arrived, followed by Mersey diplomatic ships and representatives from a dozen other council species. The truth was spreading across the galaxy faster than the Vextar could contain it. Our ancestors didn't just give us life, Amanda said, understanding flooding through her. They gave us purpose. Each species was designed to solve different problems, to think in different ways. We were meant to face the universe's challenges together. A new alert caught their attention. Movement from deep beneath the facility. Something vast was awakening, something that had waited 300 million years for this exact moment. "Dr. Sullivan," Keelai called out, their neural patterns flashing with urgency. "You need to see this. The facility's deepest chamber. It's not just a vault or a database." "What is it?" Amanda asked, though somehow she already knew the answer would change everything. "It's a key," Resonance answered, their tone filled with wonder. "A key to every ancient facility scattered across the galaxy, and it's asking for your command." The Vextar warships hung in Earth's sky like obsidian daggers, their hulls absorbing sunlight rather than reflecting it. Dr. Amanda Sullivan watched from the facility's command center as diplomatic channels erupted with demands and threats. "The Vextar High Command has declared the facility a threat to galactic stability," Martins reported, his voice tense. "They're demanding immediate access to neutralize what they're calling dangerous technology and disinformation." Through the quantum-linked displays, Amanda could see similar scenes playing out across the galaxy. Vextar forces were moving to seize research sites on dozens of worlds, each containing pieces of the ancient human legacy. "They fear what this means," observer Keeley observed, their skin shifting through patterns of concern. "Their entire society is built on the belief that they achieve supremacy through natural evolution and military might. The truth threatens everything they've built." The facility's defenses hummed with power as another wave of energy weapons splashed harmlessly against their barriers. The ancient technology was holding, but for how long? "Incoming transmission from the Arxian Science Council," Chen announced, her fingers flying across the crystalline controls. The holographic display shifted, showing a gathering of crystalline beings whose forms sparkled with internal light. Dr. Sullivan, the lead council member's voice chimed like wind through crystal caves. "The Arxian Confederation stands with Earth. Our deepest histories speak of the Lightbringers. We will not allow their legacy to be destroyed by fear and pride." More transmissions flooded in. The Mersai Union pledged their support, their empathic consensus unshakable in the face of undeniable truth. The silicon-based lithoids, the energy-form Luminex, and a dozen other species declared their opposition to the Vextar's actions. Commander Zextol's voice boomed through the facility's communications. "This is your final warning. Our forces have surrounded every major research site. Submit to containment, or we will be forced to take more drastic action." Amanda's hand hovered over the facility's central interface, where the key to the entire ancient network pulsed with potential. "They're not just afraid of the truth," she realized. "They're afraid of what else might be waiting in these facilities, what other secrets our ancestors left behind." The chamber shuddered as the Vextar unleashed their full arsenal against the barriers. Resonance's crystalline form vibrated with concern. "The ancient defenses are strong, but they cannot hold forever. We must decide our course before." A new alarm cut through the chaos. Deep beneath the facility, something was stirring. "Multiple signatures," Martinez called out, his eyes wide. "The dormant systems we detected earlier. They're all activating at once, not just here, but at every site across the galaxy." The holographic displays filled with data as ancient machinery awakened from its eons-long slumber. Each facility was connecting, forming a network that spanned the galaxy. A network that had waited 300 million years for this moment. "Look at these power readings," Chen gasped. "The energy output. It's beyond anything in recorded history. If the Vextar breach the barriers now, they'll trigger a cascade reaction they can't control." Amanda finished. She opened a channel to the Vextar fleet. "Commander Zextol, you need to stand down. What's awakening here is beyond any of us. If you force your way in, you risk destroying everything, including your own people." The commander's scales shifted through colors of rage and uncertainty. "You expect us to trust you, to simply accept that our entire history is a lie." "Not a lie," Keeley interrupted, their neural patterns pulsing with conviction. "A gift. Your strength, your adaptability. These were given to you by beings who wanted you to survive, to thrive. They made you warriors not to dominate, but to endure." The facility's deepest chambers continued to awaken, each system adding its voice to a growing chorus of power. The choice facing them all was becoming clear. Accept the truth together, or risk destroying everything in denial of it. Amanda took a deep breath, her hand steady over the ancient controls. "Commander, I'm sending you data from the facility's archives. Not just the genetic records, but the reason behind them. See for yourself what your ancestors were protecting you from." The transmission went out, carrying with it 300 million years of hidden truth. Now they could only wait to see if the Vextar's pride would bend before it broke them all. The ancient facility's crystal walls pulsed with increasing intensity, each wave of light spreading like ripples through the structure. Dr. Amanda Sullivan felt the vibrations through the floor as centuries-old machinery stirred to life deep beneath their feet. "Power signatures are off the charts," Martins reported, his voice filled with awe. "The energy readings suggest there's an entire fusion network activating throughout Earth's crust. Whatever the ancients built down there, it's bigger than anything we imagined." Through the quantum-linked displays, they watched as similar phenomena occurred at sites across the galaxy. Each ancient outpost was awakening, responding to some silent signal that had waited eons to be heard. "The Vextar fleet is pulling back," Chen announced, relief evident in her tone. "They're maintaining a defensive position, but no longer firing on the barriers." Commander Zextol's image appeared on the main display, their scales now a troubled mix of blues and greens. "The data you sent, our historians are confirming its authenticity. The genetic markers, the technological signatures, they all align with our oldest artifacts." "There's more," Amanda said, watching as new information flowed across her screens. "The facility's primary AI is coming online. It's recognizing us, all of us." The chamber filled with soft, golden light as a holographic figure materialized in their midst. It wore the form of a human woman, but her appearance shifted subtly, incorporating characteristics of every species present. The translucent patterns of the Mersai, the crystalline qualities of the Arctians, even the iridescent scales of the Vextar. "Welcome, children," the AI spoke, her voice resonating in multiple harmonics. "I am the Guardian. For 300 million years, I have watched and waited for this moment." Observer Keelai stepped forward, their neural patterns flickering with intense emotion. "You're one of the original humans, a digital preservation." "I am a bridge," the Guardian replied, "created to span the gulf of time between what was and what would be, to guide you when you were ready to understand your heritage." The facility's displays came alive with images from Earth's distant past. They showed the ancient human civilization at its height, wielding technologies that seemed like magic. But they also showed something else, a darkness approaching from between the galaxies. "Your ancestors faced a choice," the Guardian continued. "They could fight the inevitable and perish, or adapt and ensure life would continue. They chose to become many, to scatter their children across the stars in forms that could survive what was coming." The genetic modifications, resonance chimed in, their crystalline form vibrating in harmony with the facility's energy. Each species was engineered for specific survival traits. "More than that," the Guardian corrected, "you were each given unique ways of thinking, of solving problems. The Mersai's empathy, the Arxians' crystalline logic, the Vextar's tactical brilliance, all pieces of the same puzzle, meant to evolve separately and then reunite stronger than before." Commander Zextol's image shifted. "And what of the threat? Did it pass?" "No." The Guardian's expression grew grave. "It merely slowed. What your ancestors saw coming still approaches. That is why you needed to find this place now, to understand your true heritage before it arrives." The facility trembled as deeper chambers continued to activate. Hidden doors opened, revealing vast archives of knowledge and technology that had slumbered for eons. All of this, Amanda gestured at the expanding facility. "It's not just a museum or a message. It's preparation." "Indeed," the Guardian nodded. "Your ancestors left you everything you would need, not just to survive, but to face what comes next. But it will only work if you face it together, as they intended." The holographic displays showed the ancient defense network spreading across the galaxy, each facility contributing its piece to a vast, interconnected whole. The technology was beyond anything the modern galaxy had achieved, but the interfaces were designed to respond to all of their species' unique characteristics. "We offer you a choice," the Guardian announced, her form growing brighter. "Accept your shared heritage and unite against what approaches, or remain divided and face extinction. What is your answer, children of Earth?" The chamber fell silent as representatives of a dozen species looked at each other, 300 million years of separation hanging in the balance between them. Dr. Amanda Sullivan stood before the gathered holographic representatives of the Galactic Council, the Guardian's presence beside her lending weight to every word. The ancient facility's knowledge was now at their fingertips, power beyond imagination, but with it came a responsibility that could shatter or unite the galaxy. The technology within this facility, Amanda explained, gesturing to the streams of data flowing around them. It's not just advanced. It's transformative. Matter conversion, zero-point energy manipulation, consciousness transfer, technologies that could end scarcity, eliminate death itself. And you propose to share this freely. Commander Zextol's image flickered, their scales shifting through patterns of disbelief. The power to reshape worlds, given to all. Not given, the Guardian corrected, her form shimming with multiple species characteristics. Returned. These are your birthright, developed by your common ancestors to ensure life would flourish, no matter what came from the dark between galaxies. The chamber's displays showed the approaching threat, a void in space that consumed light itself, moving between the stars with terrible purpose. It had taken 300 million years to cross the intergalactic void, but it was coming. The Archean Science Council has confirmed the Guardian's readings, Resonance announced, their crystalline form vibrating with urgency. The entity will reach the galaxy's edge within 500 years. We need to be ready. Observer Keelay's neural patterns pulsed with determination. The Mersai Union votes to accept our heritage and the responsibility that comes with it. We cannot face this threat divided. One by one, representatives of other species added their voices. The Lithoids, the Luminics, even several Vextar colony worlds broke ranks to pledge their support. But the Vextar High Command remained silent, their warships still hovering in orbit. "You're asking us to abandon everything we believe about ourselves," Zextol said finally. "Our achievements, our evolution, all of it guided by ancient hands." "Not guided," Amanda corrected, understanding flowing through her. "Gifted. Your ancestors gave you the tools to become something unique, something they could never have predicted. The Vextar warrior culture, your incredible adaptability. These weren't chains to bind you, but seeds to help you grow." The Guardian nodded, her form shifting to match Zextol's appearance. "Look at your own history. Every innovation, every adaptation. They were yours. Your ancestors gave you the foundation, but you built wonders upon it, as did all their children." Martinez's console chimed with new data. The facility's archives are showing similar developments across all species. The Mersai developed empathic technology we never dreamed of. The Archeans created computational systems that defy our physics. Each species took their gifts and made them into something new. And now those developments may save us all, Chen added, analyzing the incoming data. The approaching entity, no single species technology can affect it. But if we combine our different approaches, the facility's systems hummed with power as they displayed simulations of combined technologies. Mersai empathic fields enhancing Archean computational matrices, powered by Vextar adaptive energy systems, all guided by human innovation. "This is what your ancestors intended," the Guardian explained. "Not for one species to dominate, but for all to contribute their unique strengths. The gift they gave wasn't just life, it was diversity itself." Commander Zextol's scales shifted through deep blues of contemplation. "Our strongest warriors are those who can adapt to any challenge. Perhaps Perhaps this is the greatest adaptation of all. The chamber fell silent as the Vextar commanders straightened to their full height. Their next words would either unite the galaxy or tear it apart. Around them, the ancient facility continued its awakening, systems that had slept for eons stirring to life, waiting to fulfill their purpose. "Before we decide," Zextol said finally, "show us everything. Not just the technology, but the truth of who we were meant to be. All of us." Amanda glanced at the Guardian, who nodded. With a deep breath, she reached for the facility's controls, preparing to unlock 300 million years of hidden knowledge. The choice they made next would determine not just their future, but whether they would have one at all. The ancient facility blazed with light as its deepest archives opened, revealing the full scope of humanity's legacy to their children among the stars. Dr. Amanda Sullivan watched in awe as 300 million years of knowledge unfolded before them. By the first ones, Commander Zextol breathed, their scales shimmering with colors of wonder. The sheer scale of what they achieved, what they planned for us. The Guardian's holographic form expanded, filling the chamber with images of the past. They showed the ancient humans not as conquerors or rulers, but as guardians who sacrificed everything to ensure life would continue. Each species' unique traits, Observer Keeley observed, their neural patterns pulsing with understanding. They weren't random mutations. The Mercey's empathy was designed to bridge emotional gaps between different forms of life. The Arxians' crystalline thought patterns were created to process information in ways organic brains never could. And the Vextar's legendary adaptability, Amanda added, watching comprehension dawn in the commander's eyes, it was meant to ensure that at least one species could survive in any environment, no matter how hostile. Martinez's console lit up with new data. The facility is connecting to its counterparts across the galaxy. Each one is activating, sharing its unique pieces of the puzzle. The combined knowledge, it's beyond anything we imagined. The displays showed the true scope of the ancient humans' plan. They hadn't just seeded the galaxy with life. They had created a vast, living experiment in diversity. Each species was given different pieces of the same puzzle, developing solutions their creators could never have conceived. "Look at these technological combinations," Chen marveled, analyzing the data streams. Mercey empathic fields could enhance the efficiency of Arxian quantum computers by orders of magnitude. Vextar adaptive materials could revolutionize human engineering designs. Together, resonance chimed in, their crystalline form resonating with the facility's energy. "We are greater than the sum of our parts," just as they intended. The Guardian nodded, her form incorporating aspects of all present species. "Your ancestors knew that no single approach, no matter how advanced, could face all of the universe's challenges. But together, as a family of diverse but related species, you could achieve the impossible." Commander Zextol stepped forward, their massive frame casting shifting shadows in the crystalline light. "The Vextar High Command has reached its decision." The chamber fell silent, waiting. "We accept our heritage and the responsibility that comes with it. The time of division is over." A wave of relief swept through the gathered representatives. One by one, each species pledged to unite under their shared legacy. The ancient facility responded, its systems fully awakening for the first time in 300 million years. "The network is complete," Amanda announced, watching as connections formed between every facility across the galaxy. Each species' technological and cultural achievements are being added to the whole. The combined knowledge base. It's growing exponentially. And not a moment too soon, the Guardian added gravely. "The void between galaxies stirs. What your ancestors feared approaches, but unlike them, you will not face it alone." The facility's displays showed the future they could build together. Mercey emotion drives powering ships designed by humans, protected by Vextar adaptive shields, guided by Arxian quantum navigation. Cities that combine the best of all their architectures, technologies that merge their different approaches to physics and engineering. "We are ready," Commander Zextol declared, their scales now shimmering with determination. Not as separate species, but as the children of humanity, returning to face the darkness together. Amanda looked around the chamber at the representatives of a dozen species, no longer aliens, but family separated by time and distance, finally reunited. Our ancestors gave us everything we needed. The tools, the knowledge, and most importantly, each other. They didn't just preserve life. They ensured it would thrive in every possible form. The Guardian smiled as the ancient machinery hummed with power, ready to serve its children once again. "Welcome home," she said simply. "All of you." Above them, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the reunion of the greatest family the galaxy had ever known. Humanity's children had finally come home, and together, they would face whatever the darkness might bring.